Hello, my name's Steve Di Giovanni, owner of DG Draft and Design. We help homeowners and contractors achieve construction success through design and strategic planning.
So, before we get into what all that is, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into this in the first place.
Right on. Yeah, so the way I got into this initially, growing up, I've always been kind of in the remodeling world. My mom, she would always buy the house that was the fixer-upper kind of deal. And so we were the grunt workers as kids, me and my two sisters, and we would just, we were always doing the demo and doing some tile work even, and whatever she could get us to kind of do. But she really liked the design part of things. And so construction and remodeling specifically has always been in my blood. So fast forward about 10 years ago, I got into construction professionally to start to build a nest for my family. I wanted to learn construction, so I got into it, and I wanted to see how a house was built. And I've always been interested and always had, messed around on my own, but really wanted to get serious about it. So, I learned from a lot of good mentors. I started out as a carpenter, and they kind of threw everything at me, and I just would keep taking it and keep going. And they're like, wow, like, have you ever considered becoming a general contractor? And I was like, well, no, and so I had a lot of good people. I was surrounded by good people who pushed me and said, hey, you should do this thing. And so I got into that, was doing that for a while. And when I was a general contractor, I always created a plan for all my projects. And I quickly found that how important it was and how it was, absolutely detrimental to every project. And I was learning that a lot of general contractors didn't do that, and it just completely surprised me. And so, during the pandemic, I had a large renovation project going on, and homeowners were fantastic, and they really valued our, not only craftsmanship, but, our plans and such, and how we kind of carried the project. And so, yeah, that's when I made a pivot. This is kind of a pandemic baby, if you will, of a business, where I was like, all right, well, let's, I really want to help contribute to the construction industry as a nation. Like, how can we make these construction projects more successful and kind of be a part of that process?
So what exactly are you doing now, if you're not actually doing the construction?
Sure. So, one of my mentors came from commercial background of construction, and commercial world and construction, it's required to have pre-construction services. In the residential world, you say pre-construction services and people are like, what? It's like, it's not even a thing. It's not required. People don't talk about it. If they do, we don't call it pre-construction services, which is fine. So what we do now is, we're trying to bring those kind of attributes into the residential world to, create more success in residential home renovation, specifically in that niche. A lot of times, if you do have a plan, it's going to be for new construction. A lot of architects, they'll do remodels, renovations, and stuff like that. But it is definitely a void that needs help.
So you're bringing professionalism into is it mostly remodeling?
Yeah, so we specialize in remodeling, additions, and accessory dwelling units, of course, is a real popular one now as well.
So what's that? What's an accessory dwelling unit? Is it like a tiny home?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people know it as a tiny home. They say, I want a tiny home, and the city looks at it as an accessory dwelling unit, really.
So okay, I got it. So it's sort of some sort of a change or addition to an existing property. There's not really necessarily a solid set of drawings or a solid plan on how to do that. And so what you're doing is bringing that piece of the stuff really you learned in commercial renovations over into residential.
Well, yeah, and thanks for clarifying that, because you physically get a plan. We run a pretty, I would say, conventional process. We are in no way an architect. We would never call ourselves an architect. We think architects are amazing, and we value how much time it takes to become an architect. However, we go through the similar process as far as schematic design, design development, all these things, and walk you through. So you get a physical plan that's permit ready, and a construction set and a pricing set for those builders. But you're also part of what you're getting, yes, is that experience of understanding, planning, and what it takes to plan a project and what to expect during your construction journey that's ahead of you.
Yeah, in business, we always say that the plan is great, but really what's important is the planning. And so
Yes,
that seems like it applies here. It seems like the plan's important, and it's nice to have a plan, but we all know that it doesn't really matter what plan you have. There's going to be changes. So the actual thought process is ahead of time. So does that transfer?
absolutely. And what we do with Action Coach is congruent, yeah, absolutely, with these projects. And that was something a potential client brought up yesterday. Exactly that, as far as what does it look like, when we're planning with you? And I said, well, we're creating space for you to have a moment. We walk through this, and we really try to help you walk through it mentally, via design, drawing, strategic, planning, to prepare you for that journey, which is true with any personal goals, business goals, anything that you want to get serious about. Yeah, it takes planning. It takes creating space.
Cool. So you've had years of experience in the building industry and now in this business. What are some of your biggest wins that you've had along the way?
Wow, yeah, that's a really good question. Some of our biggest wins, I would say, is really, again, I mean, I'm going to keep coming back to this, but I really believe it. I mean, contributing to success in these projects. I mean, that's one of the biggest things. And also, the more that we're growing, the more that, because it used to be me for a long time. And now, we're bringing on team members. Now we've got a total of 3 team members. We got 2 project designers and a field capture specialist. And working with them and getting different perspectives on each project has been very fulfilling as well. We have a really great relationship with our team, which helps us create better relationships with our clients and also helps us create better relationships for the construction industry as a whole. And so I would say that's some of our biggest wins that we're really excited about.
Yeah, I really like that you're about the construction industry and that, sort of bettering and improving the construction industry. I think the professionalism there is, there's very professional people in that industry, and then there's also some that aren't so professional. And so I think raising the bar for the whole industry is big. I love the contribution and the relationship factor as well. Well, with wins, there's also challenges and learning. So what are been some of your biggest learnings along the way?
Oh man,
building businesses. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think biggest challenges is, there's many of them, of course, right? And I would say, it's self-limiting beliefs is probably the biggest thing. You're talking about business, you're talking about taking on a large project even, or, whatever it is, or, goals you have personally. It's just self-limiting belief. And also construction industry as a whole. As a client perspective, there's almost this self-limiting belief for the construction industry, kind of to speak to what you're talking about with professionalism and such. It used to be a plumber, and still kind of is. A plumber comes on stage on a TV show and, the crowd laughs typically. So the biggest challenge is, being this self-limited belief, and such a large industry. We're tiny. I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything. I don't know. I'm a person. I'm a human. So, there's what we're trying to do is way bigger than us, and we hope that we just make a tiny dent. Is the intention.
Yeah, well, it all starts with the impact you can make. I always say that there's the area of control. That's the things you can actually do something about. And then there's another circle outside of that called the area of concern. There's a bunch of stuff that you might be concerned about, but you can't do anything about. Because
right.
you can't directly impact. You can impact it, but it's indirect. So it's the direct stuff. So I think focusing on the area of concern is a big deal. Well, let's, the name of our show is Epic Entrepreneurs. So, Epic is a acronym. I've actually, this is cool. This is brand new. First time anybody's hearing this. Is I came up with the acronym for B. So I now have B Epic. So the acronym for B is bring energy, because I think we've got to bring energy to what we do in industry, and I will unpack that later. But let's get to the Epic. So let's just go through it. Sort of quick answers. What do you believe the impact of or the importance of education, education?
Massive. I was taught a long time ago, education is awareness. We want to bring education. We want people to be able to digest it in a way that's good for them, that gives them an opportunity to learn. So it's massive. And I say that about the construction industry. We need more awareness of the process itself, and that's what creates a successful project.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges for most in the residential side is most homeowners might do 1, 2. If they do a lot, it'd be 3. I mean, it wouldn't. Right. They're not doing 10, 12 renovations. I mean, the professional people or the investors might, but most average people that we're going to do business, so they just don't know. So I love the fact that education, because I think that's part of what we have to do. We have to educate them about what this process actually looks like. Like a lot of people don't even think about the fact that if you're going to renovate your kitchen and a couple of bathrooms, you might have to leave your house.
That's right.
I mean, in fact, it would be better if you did, because it would.
That's right.
It would be so they don't get that, so that the contractor could actually be in there. So I think filling that gap is cool. All right, so I think this will go without saying with you, but the P is planning. What's the importance of planning in business and in life?
Yeah, what's the important part of that? Yeah, again, we need to create space, for ourselves, for our goals, for whether that be personal, business, especially family. We really, planning is creating time to sit and look at the future, and create a vision, and have create a flight path, because you're going to get pulled every direction. Like you said, a plan doesn't always go how you think it is, but at least we are preparing for the journey ahead.
I love that, and I think that's where people mess up with this. They don't take the time to create the thinking time, really, to envision what that flight path might look like for them, for their business, for their family. How many people actually have a plan for their family? Not many.
That's right.
Right? How many people actually have a plan for their business? I mean, a lot of people don't even have a plan for their renovation. So I think it's awesome. I think it carries over. I mean, being planful is very important. All right, what about the importance of finding inspiration? Maybe a better question would be, where do you find inspiration?
Wow, yeah. A good question, Bill. Where do I find inspiration? I mean, through family, for sure. Inspiration's emotionally, it quickly grabs me, right? And the trick is whether you get wrapped up in the inspiration and then you just freeze, or if you're using the inspiration. So, what inspires me is when I think of something greater than myself, and I'm thinking about my family, I think about the plans that we're making, me doing the action that needs to happen at that moment, and then seeing the results of it creates more of the inspiration. So it's one thing to be inspired, watch something, be like, I'm inspired, this feels good. But then it's another thing, you have to go do the thing, right? So it's that could be you can create momentum that way. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, you can listen to a motivational speech or go see something, But if you don't take any action, then you actually weren't motivated. It was just, all right, I felt better, and then move on. So I think the action piece of it, I actually believe inspiration comes from inside. I think we tap into something inside. Other things can trigger that, but I don't, that's just my own view on it. So I love the fact that what you say is, now I think you can, be inspired to go out and do something with, for your family. Like you can get up in the morning and say, hey, I want my kid to live indoors, right? I mean, there's some stuff like that there's some have to kind of things, but then I think it's a matter of how do you attack it. All right, the last one, the C, is commitment. So how do you view commitment? What's your take on committing and commitment?
Yeah, commitment, that's huge. We need a lot of that in the construction industry. We need a lot of that from ourselves. We need commitment is, we talk a lot about through our process, trust. That's with any relationship. And to develop trust, we need to be committed to our own kind of process, our own values. To the result of commitment to me, I think equals to bigger things, to trust, which then is a catalyst for something way larger, and it gets you in communities and environments that are beyond what you understand. The commitment is deep, and I could go on.
Yeah,
it's a hard thing.
It's hard, but it also is what builds trust. And one of the things lacking between, I think education, planning, inspiration, and commitment all help build that trust between, say, a homeowner and a homeowner and a business, or a homeowner and a contractor in the construction industry. So I think if those aren't in place, then you lose that trust, and that's where things go sideways, and that's the horror stories that actually almost everyone has heard in the world. Let me ask you, I'm going to shift gears here a little bit, and you've been a big part of community. What does community mean to you? I know that's a different C, but you you're about the relationships and building community. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, and I appreciate you bringing that up, because as I'm answering these questions, that has come up, and I wanted to be able to say is that, I go back to my family, and, we're a new business. I'm a young guy. When I'm out in the community just as a person, and, I try to be aware and to be open to things that are happening, or, catch eye contact with folks, or whatever it is. But I really, part of that inspiration for me is looking forward to be able to be more involved in the community. There's always opportunity to be more involved with the community. In my plan for my family, there's a lot of certain milestones I need to hit, I feel like, before I'm able to make a larger impact for the community, in a sense. Community is everything. It really is, and I look forward to our future so we can be more involved with the community.
Yeah, well,
because it is everything.
Communities are groups of people. In our society, communities are, essentially families are an element of community. So, being involved it doesn't mean you have to, give a lot of money or even give a lot of time, but showing up is half the battle. So that's
a good point.
Yeah, I love that. Show up first, and then figure out like where your lane is. Show up for a few. You can't show up for everything. You're busy. Kids today have gazillions of activities. People have jobs. Most families have working parents. There's a lot of other commitments, but showing up in those communities where you can be part of them is impactful. So yeah, I think it's good. All right, so I always ask this question: what's one thing about life or about business that you wish you had known, or that somebody had told you before you got in, you got down the path a little bit? What's something you wish you had known? Yeah.
What, of course, many things, right? Hindsight's always 20/20, but the biggest thing is understanding, one, that you're not alone. It doesn't matter if you have a coach, if you have, if you don't have anyone, as far, if you're all solopreneur kind of guy or a person, you always have support, and also there's always someone that's done it before you. As innovative you might think that you are or want to be or whatever it is, there's always someone else that has already done it. And you have to be open to humility and, let ego go, and, and this whole, it's self-limiting beliefs too, like really understanding, this journey of business is really a personal journey. How can I develop as a better person to be able to show up or to be able to do this thing that's bigger than me, which in reality just brings me right back to my family and community. It's like, that's where I go back. When I'm having a hard day or something, whatever, I go back to my family and show up for them in a way that's better. Yeah. And from that, then I'm better in my business, because whatever I do to be better as a family man, as a dad, is a direct result of how I can be better with my business.
I love that. When people ask me that, I always say, you can't do this stuff by yourself. Yeah. So it's sort of the same thing. You're not alone. The challenge is in our society, in our school systems. The school systems can do some things better. In general, they're pretty good.
Sure.
In America. And, I know they get knocked pretty hard sometimes, but in general, they're pretty good based on what their mission is. But we're taught to do things by ourselves. And, when you get in life and when you get out of school and you get in business, it really is a team sport. And, other than athletics, maybe shop, maybe band, some things like that, chemistry lab, in school, it's not really set up to be teams. You're supposed to do your own work. You're not, you don't work in team. It's an interesting conundrum, and the way that life works is different. You can't do this stuff by yourself. So I love the fact that so we're taught to do it ourselves. So what that means is we don't always ask for help.
That's it.
Fast enough. We don't ask for help. We eventually ask for help if we get in a big enough situation, but we don't ask for help. Or early enough. We don't get into it early enough. At least that was my history. So, Steve, this has been fantastic. Any last thoughts?
That really rang pretty hard for me, what you just said, and yeah, you're never alone, and you can do it. And a lot of times we're like scared to ask for help because we don't feel like we're good enough or whatever it is. This kind of a shameless plug for you, Bill, but that's what's really nice about your about Action Coach, our monthly meetings. It's an opportunity. Like, I remember the first time I came, I was shaking. Completely. For the first few that I came for, I was just shaking because I felt like, what am I doing here? Because you have all kinds of different people from different industries making anywhere, 30 million plus in revenue to, little tiny people like myself at the time. But as I kept showing up, I gained more confidence in myself and to be there. I'm learning still, like those folks that you look up to in business or in life, whatever it is, they were in the same place that you were. And you have to allow yourself to be okay with, with all of it. It's okay. You really don't look like a fool and more than you think. You know what I mean? So anyway, just like get involved in a group. Action Coach is a good one. I love it. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. It's delicious. But I mean, really and truly, you know, yeah, just get out there and show up for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing that I would add to that is most of those people that have been down the path are happy to share.
Oh my gosh, they're so inviting and like, yeah, they want to, yeah, they're excited for you.
Yeah, they
And
want to
yeah,
help. They know how hard it is. They know
exactly.
the ups and downs of, of being in business and being an entrepreneur, and they understand that you can't do this stuff by yourself. And so it's very rare when you find someone who doesn't want to take the time to help someone who's on the same
That's right.
they are, even if they're way behind them. So, yeah, that's been my experience. Well, this has been awesome. Thanks for being on. This is fun.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you.
And until next time, all the best.